What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Vulkan, and today we are covering everything you need to know to get started in Tainted Grail. This is a dark fantasy action RPG from Awakened Realms, and this game oozes old school RPGs in the vein of Elder Scrolls. If you are somebody who enjoyed the old school Elder Scrolls games, this is one that you definitely want to play. This is what Avowed should have been. This is what all of the other open world old school RPGs should be. This has been an incredibly fun game. I'm going to get into it and give you guys a nice overview. That way you can hit the ground running. When you first start up the game, you're going to create your character. There isn't anything bound to this, so just make whatever character you want and whatever appearance you want to see and look at for the rest of the game. But once you get started, you're going to wake up in a prison cell. The prison guard is going to approach you and start interrogating you. This is where you're going to dictate your starting attributes as well as your starting weapons. So go through, answer the questions. On the left-hand side, you will see what each answer is going to give you. So that is a new thing that they've added for 1.0. Previously, you didn't know what your answer was going to give you, and it was kind of a trial and error type of thing. So look at those on the left-hand side and figure out what direction you want to take your character. Once you're done with the interrogation, an event will happen, and then you'll be released from the prison cell. At this point, you want to escape the island. Now, one thing I will say, do not just mainline the escape quest. There are lots of things on this tutorial island that you can loot that are going to give you a very strong foundation. That way, once you get to the Horns of the South, which is your first area in the overworld, this is going to be something that you definitely want to look for. Now, I do have a companion video for this one. It's in the description below. This will go through all of the key items you want to make sure to pick up on this tutorial island. Next, let's talk about the world of Tainted Grail. This world is massive. There are so many things packed into this area. So just so you guys are aware, I've gone through and I've been playing this game in early access through many variations over the past 3 to 4 years. So for me, I'm still discovering things. I'm still finding new areas, new quests, places where things are hidden and tucked away. So when you get to the overworld, the Horns of the South, let curiosity be your guide. If something looks out of place or looks weird, or if you just want to go explore, do that, because there are things scattered across this map that are hidden. You have rock walls that can be broken down using a pickaxe. You have chests that are buried and they're signified by little fireflies at night. You have dungeons that are hidden beneath a pool of blood. You have all of these different things that you can go and discover in the game, and that's kind of the name of it. You create your own adventure. There is a quest line that'll take you through the game, but there are so many side quests and so many points of interest. So please don't do yourself a disservice by just focusing on the main quest and trying to get all of that done. Okay, so the world itself, it's split into 2 pieces. First, you have Horns of the South, and then later on, you'll unlock a new region called Kurnacht. So getting around the world is pretty simple. You have these fast travel points that look like these little glowing pillars. Once you get near it, it'll activate, and this is how you can get around quickly. You can also lay a bonfire, which we'll talk about bonfires here in a moment, but bonfires will allow you to fast travel to any unlocked fast travel point. These bonfires can be placed anywhere out in the world, and as long as you have a currency called cobwebs, you can activate fast travel and get where you need to go. Okay, so let's dive into bonfires a little bit more, because this is something you're going to be interacting with a lot. So bonfires give you the ability to talk to King Arthur, as well as level up, rest, cook, perform alchemy. All of those are baseline. If you use something called an ethereal cobweb, which is a consumable item that drops from nighttime enemies that are killed, these will give you cobwebs. You can use these to empower your bonfire, and that will allow you to do things like fast travel or identify identified items. Now you do have to spin cobwebs to identify those items, but luckily in 1.0, cobwebs are a little easier to come by than in previous iterations. So this isn't something that is as big of an investment as it used to be. But bonfires are going to be your primary kind of source for leveling up. And like I mentioned, these can be placed anywhere at any time. You don't need wood, you don't need flint, you don't need tinder. It's just, if you're playing on PC, hold Q, click bonfire, click place. Now I want to talk about secrets a little bit more. And this I'm going to kind of gloss over because I want you guys to discover things, but there are lots of different secrets hidden in the game. Like I mentioned, you have dungeons that are beneath pools of blood. You have false walls that when you break down reveal another dungeon or a chest. You have NPCs that you want to talk to. This is a huge one. Talking to everyone in this game is going to open up so much more because each NPC has their own little story, and then most of the time it leads to a quest. There is a quest that is buried beneath a dialogue box between this son trying to make sure his father has some medicine. It leads you down this sort of path that ends up sending you into the tunnels beneath the keep to clear out all of these undead as well as a boss, and it leads to quite a bit of loot for melee specific players. But outside of that, you also have bounties. Now bounties are posted on a bounty board in the keep. And this bounty board is right when you walk into the city. It looks like this, and usually there's little papers that are all over it. You just click and pick those up, and they will send you off to fight mini bosses. When you're done, you need to go talk to Cillian. He is the individual wearing a robe just to the left of the bounty board. He is very excited about bandits and killing and all of that stuff, but you talk to him and he'll give you some rewards for each bounty you finish, as well as any bandits that you've killed, because you'll collect a bandit key item from them. You can turn them into him for gold. He is a very, very good way to build up a strong bank account very early. So make sure to talk to Cillian, collect those bounties, and turn in any bandit kills. Okay, so with that out of the way, I want to talk about progression a little bit. So in Tainted Grail, when you level up, you're going to get a attribute point as well as a skill point. So attribute points are used to do things like increase your strength, your endurance, your dexterity, your spirituality, your practicality, your perception. This is going to lay the foundation for your build, okay? So if we're building a house, a character house, think of this is the foundation, right? This is the concrete. This is going to be the thing that you want to make sure you spend the right points on. That way you can do things later on down the road. So I'll talk about that here in a little bit, but I did want to give an overview of this. So first we have strength. Strength's going to increase your melee damage, max stamina, and armor weight multiplier. In this game, you do have armor weight. The heavier weight that you go, you get more protection, but it does come with penalties. If you go lighter, you get more bonuses, but you have less armor, so you're going to take more damage. We'll talk about that momentarily when we get into builds and gear, but I did want to give a precursor there. Endurance is going to increase your maximum health, your encumbrance limit, which is your carrying capacity, and your stamina regeneration. Everything in this game runs through stamina, so highly recommend, at least, no matter what build you are, spending points in endurance. Then we have dexterity. This will increase your attack speed, noise invisibility, and your range damage. This one primarily, obviously, for rogues, rangers, those type of things. However, if you are a two-handed sort of berserker warrior type, the attack speed is pretty nice. Next, we have spirituality. This is going to be all for our caster folks. Increases to spell power, maximum mana, and mana regeneration. Practicality is going to give us crafting bonuses, weak spot damage, stamina and mana cost reductions, and increasing the price of sold goods. So just like endurance, this is probably a good one to at least throw a couple points into at some point in time. And then we have perception. Critical damage, critical chance, sneak damage. This, just like anything else, you want to toss a couple points into. One thing about practicality I did want to touch on really quick. We'll talk about crafting in a moment, but this crafting bonus right here, this is going to allow you to increase your chance at proccing not a bonus item, but a increase. So for instance, if I go and craft a new weapon, I could get a +1 weapon or a +2 weapon because of the crafting bonus proc. So this is just going to give you a little more bang for your buck when you're crafting, and it's something that I would at least toss a couple points into. So outside of attributes, we're going to talk about skill trees. So Tainted Grail has 6 skill trees. We have strength, endurance, dexterity, spirituality, perception, and practicality. You might notice these are the exact same thing as your attributes. And each one is going to have different skill trees. Clicking into these, you can see we have different major nodes. Here we have health, so we have healthy appetite. For 2 seconds after taking damage, your next hit will heal you for 5%. Then we have All Mother's Blessings. So you can go and invest these as much as you would like to. Any major nodes that have little minor nodes next to them, this just shows how many points you can invest into this single node. So if I go back over to strength and I look at my general, I can see we have our godly physique, and I've invested 3 points into it so far. 4 technically, 1 to unlock it, and then 3 additional. And so I can invest 2 additional points before this is completely maxed out. Different nodes have different amounts. Some have 1, some have 2, some have none. It's all up to how you want to spend your points. But just like anything else, these different trees are going to have different options in them. So endurance has shields, stamina, health. Dexterity has parry, attack speed, movement, bows. Spirituality, you can see here. Perception, we have additional ones here, as well as practicality. So when I mentioned attributes are going to lay the foundation, your skill trees are going to be the framework that's going to go on top of that foundation to build your house. But this isn't the last thing. Next, I want to talk about your gear and your builds, because that's the last piece of the house that you're building. So if I go over and we take a look at my character screen, when you open the character screen, you're going to have your weapon on the left and you're going to have all of your armor on the right. So let's start with armor first. Remember I talked about the weight limit? So here we can see my weight gauge. I have 9.5 kilograms out of 21.1 kilograms. I'm at a medium weight, and because of that, I'm kind of middle of the road. My mana regen, stamina, attack speed, casting speed, dash, movement speed has no changes, and my dash counter is 2, meaning I can dash twice. However, if I go through and I equip another piece of gear, and that pushes me into the heavy category, now I have a penalty to all of those different multipliers and regen stats, and my dash goes down to 1. If I unequip this, and let's say I unequip these 2 things and I move down to light, now I get a bonus to these things, as well as an additional dash counter, but my armor drops down to 4%. So you're gonna have to go through and weigh your options and figure out what best works for you. So that's our armor, but let's talk about our actual gear that we're equipping. So here we can see Face of the Last Man. So this is a blue item, which means it has an affix on it. It is a rare item. This gives me increased melee damage by 3%. However, this will not activate until I meet the requirements, 7 strength and 5 endurance. This is where those attributes come into play. This is why I was saying to build your character and to kind of build up your progression, you have to invest your attributes in the right way, and you have to really think about what type of character you want to build. Face of the Last Man is a melee-focused piece of gear, so it's going to require strength and endurance. If I go down to my chest piece, this one doesn't require anything. This is one of the items you get from Tutorial Island. It increases my max health by 5, which isn't a lot. It only has 2 armor, but there's no requirements for it. If I go down to my Traveler's Pants, it's the same thing. These are purchased from a vendor. But if I go down to my boots, okay, these require 3 endurance and 5 practicality, so they're a little different. So depending on what gear you want to equip, you're going to have to spend your attribute points wisely. Now, going through, finding items, doing all of that, sometimes you can't help what RNG gives you. But at the same time, if you have a particular playstyle that you like and you want to build around a specific type of item or specific type of gear, then you want to make sure to spend those points wisely. So let's talk about our weapons next. You can have 4 weapon loadouts. By default, I have a 2-hander, which I really enjoy, my Spine Breaker. Then I have my Blood Blade Sword and Shield combo. I have a bow, that way I can pull enemies if I need to. And I have a mace and a spell, again, just for fun. So you can cycle through these if you're on the computer just by using your scroll wheel or using your keys 1, 2, 3, 4, and figure out whichever one you want to use. Sometimes you want to synergize. So if an enemy is blocking, maybe I want to use Spine Breaker to break that block, and then I want to switch over to my Blood Blade to increase my lifesteal. There's different ways you can go about it, but just make sure to maximize these weapon loadouts and don't just equip the same thing in each category. Next, we have our quick slots. Our quick slots are just that. These are for our potions. You can put different food dishes there, you can put potions out there, or you can put weapon coatings. Weapon coatings are incredibly powerful. Do not sleep on weapon coatings. These will allow you to coat your weapon to inflict a different ailment. So Bleeder Rogue inflicts bleed. Fool's Rush gives chill. Moss from a Cursed Well is poison. And then last we have Flame Resin, which is burn. These are incredibly good if you're fighting a boss that is just nagging, will not go down. Coat your weapon with one of these and you'll get a little more bang for your buck per swing or per attack. Now, just know this works for melee stuff. These don't work for arrows or for spells, so keep that in mind. Your autofill slot, you're going to be needing to eat all of the time. Now, whether that's in battle, you're going to get a restoration. You can see 16 health over 30 seconds. This is undercooked food. It's not great food. You have other ones that are like 66 over 60, but increases stam, 72 over 60, 125. So depending on how you go and you cook, you're going to get better high quality meals. When you're trying to discover different recipes, you'll get things like this, undercooked food. But these are great for just wanting to top off and make sure you have a constant source of regeneration during combat. So that's everything we see on our inventory screen. The next thing I want to talk about are our crafting system, because crafting is going to be a huge piece of what you're going to do in Tainted Grail. This is how you can augment your weapons. This is how you can craft new weapons. You can reduce your armor weight. So over at the blacksmith, we have 4 options: handcrafting, upgrades, attaching relics, and armor weight reduction. Handcrafting will allow you to do just that. You can craft new items. As you go and discover recipe books, whether it's purchasing them from vendors, finding them out in the world, completing quests, you will unlock new recipes. And then to craft something, you simply go find the thing you want, click on it, and then hold the crafting button. Now, I will say, there are times when you can not craft something, when it will fail. You can see here, my expected outcome, garbage, 72.6%, because my handcrafting level is low. So if I were to go through and make this, I have a very high possibility that this is actually going to not give me the item I want, and it's going to break. As you increase your handcrafting, this percentage goes down and this percentage goes up, meaning your chance to increase and have a better outcome is going to go up. So spend some time here. I would recommend crafting low-level stuff or things that don't necessarily matter. So crafting a bunch of these lockpicks, for instance. So I want to craft 136 of these. Sure. Awesome. Go. You can see my handcrafting went from 10 to 14. So this is something that you need to spend time doing. Next, let's talk about upgrades. If you want to upgrade a weapon, you simply click on it, and then you need to have the required materials. You can see iron ore as well as sharpening stone, and then it costs 130 gold, and it increases the overall damage of that weapon, as well as adding a +1. If I want to increase a piece of armor, it's the same thing. It increases the baseline armor, grabs it a +1. So you can go through and you can upgrade any piece of gear that you have, but just make sure to spend your materials wisely. Next, I want to talk about relics. So relics, if I go out to my equipment bag and I go and grab these. So you have 2 types, armor relics and weapon relics. Weapon relics are going to be permanent slots into an item that are going to grant something. So you first have to spend gold to unlock a slot, and then once you do, you can slot in a relic. So you can see here, burning stone, my weapon will now apply burning, which is fantastic. This allows you to add a permanent affix onto your weapon that will then inflict ailments onto enemies. Next, we have armor relics. These are going to be typically more utility based. So I have a gem of stamina and I have a blood tainted shell. It follows the same process as the weapon relic, where you pick the item you want, you pay to unlock a relic slot, and then you slot that relic in, and it's there permanently. I would recommend doing this whole process when you have items that you really like and you want to continue building around and continue upgrading. So let's talk about the last thing, and that's armor weight reduction. So remember the armor weight I was talking about earlier, where you have heavy, medium, light. Let's say you really like a piece of gear. You're like, man, I love this build, but I really don't want to be heavy. I want to be medium. You can do that. You can go through and look, okay, here's our Ancient Knight's breastplate. We have 10 armor, and then our weight is 7.9 kilogram. If I use meteorite ore and a sharpening stone, I can drop that to 7.4. Just keep this in mind that you're not stuck on the heavy side of things if you don't necessarily want to be. So blacksmithing isn't the only thing that you have to worry about leveling up. You can also level up your alchemy, your cooking, fishing, different things out here in the game, athletics. All of these can be leveled up, and when you do, they're going to give you more bonuses. So make sure to do the old Oblivion trick and rubber band your thumbstick running into a wall to increase your athletics or your swimming, etc. But as you do things, you're going to get points, and then those points will eventually turn into good benefits for your character. Okay, so that kind of wraps up the baseline. Here's how to play the game, and here's everything you need to know to sort of hit the ground running and understand how Tainted Grail works. Next, what I want to leave you guys with are 4 tips and tricks to really help you kind of figure out how Tainted Grail works and make sure you have all the knowledge you need going into it. 1, if you're playing during the nighttime, look for different colored fireflies. These are always hovering around buried chests, and you need a shovel in order to dig those up. They're plentiful, find one, and then use those to dig up the chests and get your loot. 2, one of the biggest things that I was trying to figure out early on is where can I find wood? I can't take a lumbering axe and go chop down trees. So where do you find it? You can find it at logging sites. And these logging sites are in the keep and the hunter's camp. These are the 2 kind of early game ones where you can find them. These logging sites look like this. And you need to have an axe in order to chop the wood, but you can go and just click the interaction button and you'll cut and you'll get wood. This is used in multiple quests as well as multiple crafting recipes, so you want to make sure to clear out these spots as often as possible. So this is where the one in the keep is located. You can see it's right here towards the southwest, and then the hunter's camp is right up here towards the north, and that logging site is right next to this icon, just over here to the left. So make sure to bounce between these 2 and clear them out because you will need them for some of the quests. Number 3, kill enemies at night for cobwebs. A good farming spot is the market square, which is just to the east of the keep. You have the ruined market square here, as well as the gallows here. Clearing out this entire area is going to give you a massive chunk of cobwebs. That way you can use those to fuel your bonfire as well as identify any unidentified items. And lastly, I've talked about it a little bit before, but do not sleep on consumables. Consumables are fantastic in this game, whether they are weapon coatings to give you an advantage in battle, or whether they are potions that you can drink. Things like Slow Fall Potion, which decreases your fall damage. There's another one that locks your stamina at 100% for 10 seconds, allowing you to do whatever you want, whether it's swing your weapon, whether it's pull your bow, whether it's dodge. You can do all of that unlimited for 10 seconds, which again is very, very strong for boss battles. And then the last consumable is Origin Potion. This will reset all of your skill and stat points. These are found various places throughout the game. I'm imagining there's probably a finite amount of them, so make sure to only use these when you truly need them. So guys, that's everything that I feel like you need to know to hit the ground running in Tainted Grail. If you've played before, let me know what I missed in the comment section below. If you guys want more Tainted Grail content, please subscribe because I have more on the way. As always, this has been Vulkan, and I'll talk to you guys next time.